I think the most important thing is the practical part of it. Like you get your hands-on experience, because pursuing CFA or pursuing any theoretical thing, even the bachelor's that I did was not very much practically. I would say that I got to know much about statistics and econometrics, but that was the most practical part of my degree. And that also, all the things that I learned in my degree were theory only. So I had to I had to myself read about it and know more practical applications about the things that even my degree taught me are, but it was very basic. Like the difference between the coding that is taught in EPAT and my bachelor's was like there is like no comparison. Like what I was taught was the ABC of coding in my degree, and EPAT covers like the whole alphabet of coding, I would say. So all in all, it was a very good like a combination of factors for me. So my name is Akshat Rohatgi. So I'm currently based out of Delhi. I completed my bachelor's from Delhi University, so I'm currently based out of Delhi. And presently, I've been looking for various opportunities in the quantitative trading domain. I am upskilling myself with the most important, like the hard skill needed in quantitative trading, which is coding. So I've started to upskill myself with a C++ and Python as progressing from the EPAT program that we finished just a couple of months back. And talking about my interests, likes and dislikes, so I like traveling a lot, like going to like exploring very random places, unexplored places. I covered a couple of valleys in Himachal and Ladakh that were very unexplored. I like to play guitar, as I have been from the last 8 to 10 years. Then I like riding bikes, so that is like a new passion for me from the last 2 3 years since I got my license. And from the things that I like the most, like to be candid, I like coffee the most. So like I go to random places, new places, explore where's the best coffee, and like bring no brew it my home. So like this is like a brief about me. What started as in like a hobby when I was in my seventh grade, I turned into a passion, and then like a career for a brief 1 to 2 years. So I started playing guitar when I was 14 years old. I was in my eighth standard, and like a lot of people take on many hobbies. So I took on guitar, and for a couple of years it was like regular, because I coming from a small city, there weren't many opportunities, weren't many professionals who could teach you the way that could take you to a certain level. So I progressed slowly in the starting couple of years, and then I started to upskill myself through YouTube. And I used to travel to from my hometown Patna to Kolkata twice a month to take lessons from a very like established guitarist in Kolkata. So from that experience, I connected with a lot of musicians in Kolkata, then a lot of brilliant musicians in my home state, and from that, what started as like a normal, like a local band, we went on to perform to like various IITs. We went to IIT Rohatgi, IIT Kanpur, IIT Banaras. We won the IIT Patna competition, Battle of Bands. From that, like for a brief period of 1.5 years, like that was kind of a like was I could say that was the time of my life, because we played music, like we were deeply into music. But side by side, I was also focusing on my academics, since the it was my 11th and 12th, so that is also was on top priority. Like it was kind of a balance between those two things. There are certain certifications in music that you can do, like diplomas. So I have been in my grade 7, like there are 8 grades from Trinity College, London. So that is what I'm like on a certification point of view. I'm pursuing it right now, because due to COVID, from the last 2.5 years, there weren't any events or something. Like you are on your own. So I started to like, what should I do? So I took those certifications, upskill myself. Since I completed my 10th, so my like since I got a very good grade, so since coming from a very small town in Patna, so there are only two streams there. Either you go to take physics, chemistry, maths, or you take bio. So like, but my parents were supportive of me, even after scoring a high grade, that you can go into whatever you want to do. So I always wanted to go into the finance or the commerce field. because my grandfather has been a chartered accountant, and he has been an Indian Audit and Account Service officer or throughout his life. So he was also the director of finance for Oil India. So like I have been the finance thing was always in the family. He used to trade stocks after he retired. So I like think of finance came from him only. I used to see him trade stocks, watch PT Now all the day, CNBC, everything. So after 10th, I took on commerce, and for so I prepared well for my 12 boards, since getting into good college requires you to prepare. Since if you are a commerce student, there are only two ways: either you do a CA in India. There's only one way apparently. You become a chartered accountant, and then you explore what you want to do. So I was not very inclined towards accountancy, although I scored a 99 in 12th in accounts, which was the highest. But I was more inclined towards economics. And how was the macro thing going on? Like, because everything connects to the macroeconomic environment if you see in finance for economics. So I took on commerce. I topped my school. I got a good grade. I got a good college in Delhi University North Campus. So then there was a trade-off that should I do a BCom honors or should I do an economics honors? Because in DU they are the premier courses for a commerce or an economics graduate. So I took on economics because I wasn't very inclined towards accountancy. So during my bachelor's, since it was COVID, so like 2 years we had an online thing. So actually, so they were. So I took. So in my first year, there were a couple of things like since economics connects to a lot of with maths and statistics. So I like took a lot of courses in macroeconomics, a lot of courses in maths that would complement towards the data. Like since finance is a bit data driven field, so you need to know things I took courses on R and data analysis, and there was a workshop in a college on Python, so I took those courses in order to get used to with the things that I'm going to use in the future in finance. So yeah, college was pretty nice, like uh, on the whole of it, but like we couldn't have much fun because it was COVID. So yeah, I topped my college in the last year. I took on courses that were very relevant for me in my career. So yeah, that is pretty much journey towards the journey of my college. After that, CMT, yeah, the charters that which I did, CMT, CFT, and CIA. They were since I wanted to know more things. Like I was very curious to learn more about finance. So I since I contacted a few of my friends and my grandfather. So they told me that there are two methods to finance. Since in India we only know two: fundamental and technical. So since I was since the beginning, I was not very much inclined towards accounting. So fundamental was something that I wasn't very curious about. So I took towards technical analysis, and the what I could say the golden degree or the golden charter in technical analysis is CMT. So that was my go-to thing to go and pursue it. So I took CMT in my first year, and by my last year I finished it. So I completed all the three levels. CMT and CFT are more or less the same charters. They are basically different organizations that offer certifications in technical analysis. So CFT is also a certification in technical analysis. So I have completed both these certifications. And then since I was very curious, I used to read very blogs and books. So I came across a book that was called More Money Than Gods. It was written by Sebastian Malerby, and it was about the world of alternatives, hedge funds, and how hedge funds were a thing in the US since the 1960s and 70s, and how evolved they were towards and how they have evolved towards quantitative trading and algorithmic trading, and now towards HFT and all. So going through that, I researched online. So there was a certification called CAIA, Chartered Alternative Investment Analyst. That is basically, you can say, the CFA for alternative investments or hedge funds and all those things. So I was very keen on pursuing that. So then I pursued that, and I cleared the first level last year, and I have given the second level exam. There are two levels only, just on the 23rd of this month. So I gave that 3 days back. So yeah, that reading through that content and that material familiarized with me that how hedge funds work and how they are like shifting. Like I talked about how they're shifting toward more data-driven techniques towards finance. So then I researched lots and I was very curious. And then I researched how should I upskill myself in like quantitative trading or algorithmic trading. Then I, since researching was like going on, so I came across two, three options like CQF, IAQF, and EPAT. And I read a few reviews about EPAT, and like they were very motivating for me. Like since EPAT has the faculty members are very experienced, and the institute has a reputation of over 12 years, and I read a few success stories also on the side. So that is how I got into EPAT. I registered myself, and yeah, that is how I got towards EPAT and quantitative trading. I started trading in 2019 when I was in my first year of college. So I since as I got my admission in Delhi University, so I was very curious. The classes were a bit like boring in the starting and all. So I took up a course in technical analysis, like a part-time course with a training firm here only in Delhi. So I like it was for 2 or 3 weeks. So I went there. They taught like real-time technical analysis and how to use that. So learning from so taking those learnings, I started trading in October 2019. So the first trade I took was on basis of technicals only, and it was, I guess the stock was Titan, and I like earned a good like 10-12% in a month. So that is what my memory says. So from that I have evolved. Like that was very a novice trade and all, just seeing a candle or since candle or very small pattern or something. But my trading style has evolved over time. I have quantified it to a bit. I'm still a discretionary trader, I would say, but I use data to power my discretionary decisions. And like I backtest all of whatever hypothesis I make. I backtest over it. Like till now, I haven't been very proficient with Python. I would say like the data structures, and I get stuck a bit of time. So I still my primary tool is Excel. So I backtest it through Excel. I perfected Excel so that there's one tool where data science tool we could say that I could use to backtest my ideas. I have access my hypothesis. So I still I still use my discretion. I still take trades manually. So there isn't much automation or any high frequency trading going on since I'm a retail trader and my capital is very small, I would say. But yeah, the decisions have improved a lot since I have gone to EPAT. I have been able to backtest all those ideas that Nitin sir and Kesha taught us. I've used it, like I have used those Excel techniques that I was taught through EPAT, and I also use Python a bit. But I'm basically trading equity like stocks and a bit of index futures. But all those trades are manual as of now. The main reason or the prominent reason I wanted to learn algorithming was, as I said, firstly it got into my head when I read that book and I like went deep into the world of alternatives and hedge funds. So I knew that this is going to be the future. Algorithmic trading like this now also accounts for a very large 60 to 70% of all orders or exchange volume is through algorithmic trading in the US. And in the future, all decisions will definitely be automated. But I also knew that the person who is going to like turn on and off that algorithm, or who is going to frame the hypothesis on which that algo is going to work, has to be a human. So I took both of those things parallelly. I knew that I have to have the knowledge of finance. I have to have the knowledge of macroeconomics, geopolitics, and how geopolitics affects macroeconomics. And I also have to know how to code, I would say, how to derive data-driven decisions from whatever my hypothesis is framed on the basis of whatever data get, like whatever macroeconomic event is happening or whatever things that are developing in the geopolitical world. So I knew that in order to backtest that, I have to have an algo or a data-driven approach. So that is the primary reason that to execute my hypothesis or to prove or disprove my hypothesis, and if I like get a data-driven approach to whatever I frame, I took on algorithmic trading. So the first the how did I start? So as I told you, I came across EPAT. Before like registering for EPAT, I took the free courses on Contra that is offered by QuantInsti. I took a few courses on Contra that are free to just get a sense of what would be taught or what is it all about. And I just read through a couple of blogs. I also read QuantInsti success stories and a couple of blogs on Quantnet about basics, Investopedia about the basics of algorithming and what all I'm going to go through. So that is how I like started, and then I enrolled in EPAT, and then it was a journey upwards and upwards only. And I came to know about EPAT through my only research, and then I talked to a few people who have done EPAT on LinkedIn. I connected to LinkedIn. Some of CMT charter holders, Akshat sir and all. Akshat sir had done it. Akshat Chidla sir was at Bloomberg. So I just had a brief talk with him and got to know more about it. And I only heard positive reviews, so I just got enrolled into it. And EPAT was also one of, I would say, an economical choice for a student, since I don't know if you should mention that students get a discount. So like, it is the, I would say, the best and the I would say the most I shouldn't say cheap, but I should say the most value for money choice. If you want to get a course that really helps you practically, not only there's not I would say there's nothing theoretical about EPAT. You definitely you get some books, you definitely get some things to learn, but everything is practical. You just apply it. So I think the best value for money course for algorithmic trading should be like everybody should move towards EPAT only, since the classes were on weekends and we got a lot of assignments. So yeah, we were always kept on our toes and everything was. And since I would say the first few weeks of EPAT are quite like normal, like you get accustomed to it, and then it takes like what should I say, a non-linear approach towards the upside. Like there's a lot of new information that you're getting. There are a lot of code that you get into coding. A lot of coding stuff is happening. Different type of like quantitative domains, market microstructure, NLP, ML. Everything opens up about I guess 2 months after you start. So like then you are like really challenged, and that all like that is also essential for to you to like keep you involved in the course and make sure that you like complete your assignments and learn whatever it is. And you also like do your own research from on the, since a lot of topics are very high level, so we touch the basics of it. But like if you get time, but there is sufficient time that you could also research on your own and choose whatever interests you. Like we get to learn about so many different domains, like in the umbrella of quantitative trading, that you could choose few domains that you like. Since I was very inclined towards market microstructure because it involved a lot of things, like it involved like the trading part of it, the statistics part of it. So I was very inclined towards market microstructure, and I also like machine learning. So since I was pursuing economics, I had a very good foundation both statistics and econometrics. So but I didn't like, since I was not from a tech background, I knew what machine learning was, but I wasn't really aware that these statistics or econometric techniques are the basis for machine learning. So that interested me a bit. So I was very interested when the machine learning lectures were happening, and whatever, like coding was a bit high level to me at that time for machine learning. But over time, like since I have also explored it in the last 6 months, so I have been using some machine learning algorithms in my like trading, whatever I do, like to test the data out there. So yeah, these are my primary takeaways. And also Dr. E.B. Chan's lecture was, like everybody mentioned, it was very like I would say epic. Like he like exceeded what we had what were the expectations from him. And yeah, the course was pretty well paced, and we were always challenged. We always kept on our toes. Most of the certifications that I've done, like except from CMT, since CMT is focusing on trading, so it is definitely practical, and everything that we are taught is basically right. Like as it is, we can use it in a practical way in the market. But I would say compared to CFT or CIA, which was very much theoretical, I would say the models that that are taught in those courses they can definitely be used, but we are not taught how those models are made or what. We are just basic approach to those models. But uh, comparing them to EPAT, like EPAT was very much practical. Whatever was taught, the hypothesis or the framework or the belief on which it was like the theory was there or the trading strategy was there, that was taught. Then the coding part of EPAT made it more sense, much more practical sense to how we could use those the things that we are taught in real world. So the biggest difference I would say is the practicality of EPAT versus any other certification. Where you say CFA, which I consider a very like outdated, and like I don't think CFA helps you very much in your careers, because since the number one reason I would say that a large number of people in India are pursuing it, so the value has been going down. And compared to CFA or any other certifications, the practical aspect and the coding, the what you need on the job if you are going to get into finance, any job in finance or trading, is I think the major difference between any all certifications and EPAT. I think that I'm not very good with time management, but like seeing what I have done in the last 3 years, I would say that it is like better than what I expect from myself. But yeah, the like managing time was very difficult, because sometimes like when I had my charter exam and EPAT lectures were also going on, like when I had my CNT level 2, and EPAT lectures was also like kind of getting challenging because we are introduced to very new fields like machine learning and those. Yeah, it was a bit challenging. So I was like a bit behind schedule. I used to like lectures in the week, like I used to use recordings. But yeah, I manage time pretty well, I think, and it is definitely challenging for people or students who are not familiar with statistics or mathematics. It is definitely going to be a bit more challenging. But like if you are willing to put in the time, if you have interest in the quant trading domain, then you can definitely do wonders after like you take EPAT and those lectures. And if you are even if you are weak in maths or stats, I would say that you could like simultaneously study those things and like build a foundation and then watch EPAT lectures, because that would really help. So I would say like a bit of a background in statistics would be a good thing to start with if you want to get into algo trading or quantitative trading. Which feature did I like the most? I think all the things that you mentioned that I mentioned together make a very wholesome combo for me. Like the value for money part, the student discount part, the experience like Dr. EP Chan, and I think the most important thing is the practical part of it. Like you get your hands-on experience, because pursuing CFA or pursuing any theoretical thing, even the bachelor's that I did was not very much practical. I would say that I got to know much about statistics and econometrics, but that was the most practical part of my degree. And that also all the things that I learned in my degree were theory only. So I had to I had to myself read about it and know more practical applications about the things that even my degree taught me are, but it was very basic. Like the difference between the coding that is taught in EPAT and my bachelor's was like there is like no comparison. Like what I was taught was the ABC of coding in my degree, and EPAT covers like the whole alphabet of coding, I would say. So all in all, it was a very good like a combination of factors for me. As you mentioned, I was working on a startup, Finzi Capital. So what we were like trying to do there, we were trying to build a product like basket, like what a lot of people have made this. Like we were working on this since 2020. So we were working on creating basket of stocks that could be like frequently rebalanced based on like quantitative and statistical parameters, which we like try to like get those parameters, basically ML based parameters that we hyper parameters that we tuned like for like 6 to 8 months. But I would say like since all of us are very naive at the time, we didn't have the experience, so like we definitely were not able to get a good product out of it. So that was my first like thing that I was like trying to do. So unfortunately we weren't successful at that venture. So coming from that, right now I'm focusing on my masters, so like I could get a good experience. I am like trying to get into different MFin or a masters in finance, or like there's a course masters in asset management. So I'm trying to get into those courses. So I'll be applying this winter for the next fall courses. And on the longer term of things, I like down the line, 5 to 10 years down the line, I would like definitely want to start my own what I would call it, a quantitative or a data driven hedge fund, or I wouldn't limit it to hedge fund. I would say basically an asset management company that invests through all different classes for 10 years down the line. And till then, I would definitely would like to have an experience across different finance domains. Like I would really want to work for some good investment banks, some hedge funds, some private equity funds, so I could get a very wide range of experience, and that I could use it in my firm. But the longer term goal is to like have my own investment company. Firstly, I would say that the field has cutthroat competition, so you always have to be on your toes. You have to always upskill yourself, and I think if you want to get into hardcore HFT or quant trading, then you definitely need to have a very good experience with coding. So you need to be proficient in. If you want to get into HFT, then you need to be very proficient with C++ because it's all about minimizing execution time there. And if you want to get into medium frequency or low frequency trading firms, or like firms, hedge funds that are quantitative or data driven, then you definitely should have a very good hands-on experience with Python or R, because coding language is like a very important hard skill that you should know. And secondly, you should also have a very logical like approach, or a very good reasoning approach to things. Like whatever situation you are in, or whatever project or whatever hypothesis, you should have a very good thinking or very good reasoning for that. So if you think that you have those things, and you should also have a very good foundation in maths or stats, because that is really important, because all those machine learning or all those things that you will do are basically statistics or econometrics or a mixture of both. So yeah, those things are important. And as a student, you can take like if you are in your undergrad, you can take those courses, stats, or like electives, or you can do courses on Coursera or something like that, and get a hands-on experience of how are you in coding, or how well are you in statistics or econometrics. So, and ultimately it matters that do you have a passion for quantitative trading or high frequency trading, because a lot of people have a passion for finance, but these things become too technical or too cutthroat for them to survive in the long term. Since I've been a practitioner of technical analysis for a long period of time, I would say that you should even after getting a very data driven edge or anything, you should always study past events or history, what has happened in the past, because there's a saying in the market that history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. So anything that will happen in the future, if you see right now what's happening with pound, it's similar to what happened in the 1992 Black Wednesday crash, or whatever happened in the coronavirus crash. You could see similarities. I wouldn't say I'd say it doesn't exactly happen, but it does rhyme. It does, the things like are similar, are familiar. So like studying history, any type of history, whether it is macroeconomic events, where it is technical analysis, you could study charts and basically technical analysis, study that past history, and you could predict future. So like past returns, as technical analysis, that price discounts everything. So like price has all the information if you want to study technicals. Macroeconomic also, you could get the data of variables from like hundreds, like from the past Great Depression crash. So like studying history, geopolitical history, everything benefits a lot, even after you have a data driven edge or anything like that.